We are here again. Give us a minute to get situated. And we will be right with y'all, hoping that you're having a great morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I think this looks okay to me. I'm going to check it out. And then if not, I will come adjust it.
I hope you have your snacks ready. We've got tots.
I just realized my mic wasn't on.
I just turned mine on. In fact,
Beautiful.
because I was like, wait, as I'm munching on my tots.
Okay. So I'm gonna check out this visual real quick, and then y'all, we gonna get started.
If you're having a Sunday fun day, cheers.
How do how do things work? Okay, here we go.
Honestly, that's my question a lot. How do things work?
Oh, I think like this looks this. It is what it is. This is great. Perfect. Yay! On the first try. Okay. Hey, y'all, we're your buttons babes. Welcome to our Sunday Fun Day Live. And if you're joining us for the first time, we're just gonna throw it out there. Some of the things that we talk about may be trigger. I was gonna merge the word triggering and activated into one.
What
My brain stopped me from letting that happen.
Tractivating?
It can be triggering or activating, but we all have agreed that we are here to learn and grow. And so, just a little activation warning that sometimes you will feel some things, and they are sometimes uncomfortable. And also, again, if you're joining us for the first time, we start with a push to start, something that pushed our buttons this week, whether it was good, bad, ugly, indifferent. And so, as I figure out this situation, I'm gonna let Alyssa take it away. We didn't even introduce ourselves.
My name is Alyssa Vasquez.
I'm Alyssa Brayboy.
And we are your Buttons babes.
Yay.
Once again, thanks for joining us on this beautiful Sunday. Hopefully it's sunny wherever you are.
Right.
And not too cold or too warm, I guess. Okay, so my push to start for this week is that kind of like frustrating when people mispronounce names.
Oh.
I hate it. I understand that it can be challenging for some people to try and pronounce someone's name that is not something they're used to saying. I get it. I have for sure messed up people's names before. But like actively not trying to fix when you've mispronounced, that gets me.
Yeah.
Like I'm very particular about like my name in my own way. Like I will give you the two ways you can say it.
You have a pass. It's this or that.
This or this, right? And like people who can pronounce it, great. You can say it. People who can't, I'm like, no, please call me Alyssa. My name is Alyssa for you. And I just don't want to hear you butcher my name.
Can you give us the other way to say it? Like I know, but for
Elisa. So like most people that are not white have no issue saying it. And so I'm like, great, calm. But like those are my two names. Two names.
That's it.
I was listening to I was listening to a podcast where these guys are talking about like a bunch of random things. In the episode I was listening to, one guy kept saying Frida Kahlo's last name wrong, Kahlo. And he was corrected a few times by his host, but he was like, well, I just prefer to say it this way.
No, my
and I'm
guy.
Like, I do that with like Canada. I like call it Canadian sometimes just to be dumb, right? And so like I understand when you're like, I just like the way they sounds better. But also, when it's someone's name, I'm like, it's different if it's a country for me. But I mean, it's different for a country. You know what I mean? But like, I know
like
how to say it.
Potato, like kind of,
sort of. But like, yeah, that's just like, it really irked me because I was like, this guy is telling you how to say her name and you're still actively gonna say it, like...
That's disrespectful to me.
Yeah,
and when you are actively saying it wrong, knowing, and not even putting forth the effort to say it correctly. Names, pardon me, I'm stealing it, are super important. And I do my due diligence when I meet someone to say their name a couple times, make sure that I remember, but also that I'm saying it right. And I love when people correct me. Ngazi, like she's been on the show before, for a hot minute, I was saying her name Ngazi, and she took the time. She's like, Alyssa, it's Ngazi. I'm like, thank you. Like don't let me out here like
saying your name wrong.
that.
Yeah.
Like it's names are important. They mean something. And so yeah, I understand the frustration.
It took me a minute to get, because I used to not care as much. I was
Mhm.
like, whatever, call me whatever you want. But yeah, at some point I was like, no, this matters. Like, who you are really matters. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Call me by my name.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Yes. That's a fucking awesome push to start. So my push to start, I'm actually gonna pull up on my laptop so I get the right in terms of like which high school it was. But for the gist of it, y'all.
Hey, Matthew Morgan.
Hey, thank you for joining us this afternoon. So there was a high school, and there was a mock slave auction, and it had the high school have to forfeit their football season. Their football students decided to put on a mock slave auction of their black football players
In the year of.
in the year of 2022, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone. And
Holy
it,
shit.
all I saw was the headline, and I immediately had a visceral reaction. I was like, what?
I mean, yes.
I was like, no, forget the football season. Like, they don't get to have a football team anymore. Like, this is why we can't have nice things. No, like, the coach needs to be fired. And I was like, okay, let's calm down. Read the whole article. You were
Because
jumping.
sometimes they be clickbaiting, and
Yes.
the article is not even.
You are jumping to conclusions.
Okay.
Because it sounds awful. And all it was,
I was
awful.
Okay, so.
and so, yes, the Yuba City Unified School District. It was a school in California. Yeah,
What?
River Valley High School. They had organized.
That sounds like a white school.
They were reacting a slave sale as a prank, and I don't understand what is funny about that. And I do appreciate how the superintendent and how the school board responded to that. But anyway, so there have been other mock slave auctions in that school district, some sanctioned by officials and others not. And
Okay, time out. Sanctioned by officials. Look, my Sunday brain is on. So that means
teachers and faculty members knew about and helped orchestrate this, like either as a part, like as a school project, as like a skit in class. It is something that was sanctioned and okay, like on school grounds. Versus if it's not sanctioned, it's something that the kids did outside of school to get attention, to put something on the fucking TikTok, and they wanted it to go viral. They think it's funny, this, that, and the third. And I just, on all counts, I do not understand. Anyway, the players were the players were suspended and are no longer allowed to play for that school's football team, which made it so that the team didn't have enough members to complete the season. That's what made them forfeit their season.
Okay, so it wasn't like a punishment that was like, because of this, you're not playing. It was like, oh well,
we don't have enough
players, but yeah, unfortunately, there's not enough.
And the ones that were not involved, like they're allowed to play on the junior varsity team. And I'm like, okay, but that still sucks for the ones that didn't do anything. But also, I don't know if they knew what was happening, but for the ones that didn't do anything, not doing something is just as bad as doing it sometimes. Like if you know and you didn't tell anyone, or like be like, hey y'all, you know this isn't funny, like this isn't something that we should joke about and make light of and put on for entertainment. Like what are we doing? And the ones that didn't get, the teachers involved, like I think it's just as bad. And so like it sucks for them, but at the same time, like I can only imagine the growing and the lesson that they are learning right now, and the way that the school responded. It's like, we have a lot of work to do in terms of what yeah, y'all do. They said,
Hey, girl.
he's like, they don't understand, like, that when students find humor in something that is so deeply offensive, it's telling them that they have an opportunity to help them expand their mindset to be more aware, thoughtful, and considerate of others. And I am.
It's
I
a
don't-
really nicely crafted statement.
Hello?
I will.
Hello, like,
I will say that.
that, like, it just, I'm like, wow, we really still have a long way to go in terms of the way in which we are educating our youth. Like, to, like what they're around and what they're seeing and what they're exposed to is showing them that that's okay. Like, it made me sweat. It made me uncomfortable.
Because it's like, I mean, this is something that I feel like I would have read in a book in like middle school and been like, oh, this was 40 years ago maybe. I'm like, wow, like I just, because I don't see that, or I'm not, I guess, close to people like that, it's like the things aren't clicking the way they're actually, like, they're clicking but they're not clicking.
Mhm.
Like in this fucking year, not even when we were in middle school and it was like a past offense, like this is like literally actively a thing that's like now it's like, yeah, what the fuck are we doing? I just,
I don't understand, because also I know, push to start part 2, because last night I went to go see a series of plays in West Hollywood, like 10-minute one act plays, and there was one of them that, like, I almost walked up and left. I had a visceral response and just sunk in my chair, because they dropped the N word, hard R, 3 times, like, and it was a white person that said it. I understand that is a play. I understand that is art. The individual that wrote the play was black, but to me, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, and the situation that was occurring was kind of reminiscent of, like, Emmett Till's situation, in terms of this older white woman accused this black boy of abusing her in some form or fashion, and he ended up getting lynched for it. And she has Alzheimer's. She has something, and she's like telling it to her nurse's aide, and someone comes out of nowhere to get revenge on her and has her at gunpoint. And he's like, she did X, Y, and Z 20 years ago. And her nurse's aide is like, I know. And then at the end, he ends up choking her out. I'm like, what did I just watch? It was so jarring. And I'm like, how did we also allow this play to go up? Everyone signed off on this and thought this was okay. And it just, and I looked around the audience and I realized what space I was in. And I was like, this is how we allowed this to go up, because there wasn't anyone telling you that it wasn't okay, because we, like, in terms of art and film and television, we are also still doing this in terms of, like, these are the kinds of stories that have been predominantly told, that are kind of also like more trauma porn and
avenue
of black history. And I was like, okay, all right, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, no, we need to do better. And it's like, okay, but at the same time, I'm like, how do we do better? Like, they did, like, how do I know that they didn't know better? I am assuming, because I know better.
But it's also, I mean, trying to, when you are close to the light, or when you're close to the truth, there's like that moment of either like, yes, I want it, or I am going to comfortably step away to, like, the ignorance is bliss thing. I mean, just like students in the middle school, someone could have called it out, but like, not stirring the boat, stirring the pot, whichever.
Stirring the pot.
You know, it's like I'm gonna go. I didn't see it. I didn't know. You know, I didn't see, didn't hear, didn't speak anything. So like, I'm not involved here.
Right.
It's that I believe, I guess, because it's like, okay, so if it's really just like colorless people making these decisions, and many colorless people are also in this like white guilt that like they're, you know what I mean, it's like they're continuing that cycle of, oh, we can only see you othered, we can only accept the history that like you were brutally, you know, the trauma porn history, that's the only history we can accept because we are too close to other parts of history that we don't want to share maybe. Or it's like, I mean, keeping people in their place, so to speak. And I like don't know, but like that's kind of like, I guess that's where my mind is really like bubbling around right now, because like I do sometimes purposefully avoid watching something because I'm like, I know that this is just gonna upset me for like what I know that story is about. I've seen this and I that's like a frustrating thing because I want to support a lot more things that are like coming from anyone, but within the like realm of gatekeeping, it's like, well, you can create what you want to create, but it still has to be this story. Like it still has to tell this thing and be this horrific. And I'm like, no, can I just watch some stupid bitches doing dumb shit on a tooth? Like, you know, can I see my friend groups reflected and not someone getting fucking raped or like, you know, like these horrible things.
Yes,
and I'm like, I get it, and I know what happened, and I'm not trying to like take that away, but I'm also like, a lot of other random, dumb, everyday, funny things happen that like would be really cool to find out about.
Yes, to see something different voices like that, and not having the same caricatures of things in shows. Like one and last tangent, I promise. Maybe we're gonna try.
We're not guaranteeing any no tangents.
I'm gonna try. I was talking to. So if y'all don't know, Alyssa and I's guilty pleasure, in terms of television is Grey's Anatomy. Say what you will, we love it. And I was talking about the show, and someone was like, "Yeah, they fell off when." Spoiler alert! If you haven't gotten past this, then I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, and she's like, "I stopped watching when Izzy." Izzy and Denny, like when Denny died. I was like, she was like, no, like I'm so mad. I'm over this. And we got to talking about Bailey, because Bailey is one of Alyssa and I's favorite characters.
One of the best characters created ever.
Yes. And the response I got was like, I don't love that character. I've seen that dynamic. She's big. She is the heart of the hospital. She holds everything together. And I was like, no, yes, you are right. But I'm like, my eyes opened in terms of that stereotypical, like, Black woman role in a show or in a movie. And I was like, but, oh, yeah, okay. In terms of, like, I've seen this before.
This is every...
Yes. But I mean, in Spaces, I do love what they have done for Dr. Bailey in terms of,
I mean,
like...
And that, yes, I will say, like, in the same breath that she is every, like, Black woman, I guess, like, in a nutshell, she also, like, we do get to see
her
moments that she is not just, like, token... Black woman who saves the day.
Yes, like she gets into some situations and she gets to play around and live her life and be, and I'm like, yes to that, because maybe it was something that was brought to their attention, but I did have that moment of, oh damn, this is what I'm so used to that I didn't even realize that that's what was happening. And there have been times where okay, I lied, there's going to be another tangent. Where even within Buttons, we have put ourselves in a situation where it's like, we are actively trying to create things that tell different stories and move away from stereotypes and like for example like a white savior complex. And yo, we wrote a whole ass motherfucking feature, sorry, we wrote a whole ass feature where I'm like, oh no, how did this happen, how did, and like you're so used to that it just seeps into, and until you take a moment to step back and be like, oh,
This looks like that.
Yeah.
This looks like that, but we can fix it.
yeah, we can fix it. And so it's just really interesting. Like sometimes your voice gets lost in things that you are doing, and just so y'all know, you're gonna hear it from us first. Um, our voice got lost for a little bit in buttons, and so you will be seeing a good chunk of our content disappearing. And we are hitting the reset button and reevaluating and creating new content, new stories, and there will be things that will be taken down. And yeah, so sorry about that. Not sorry, but we are growing together. We are not perfect. We are figuring it out. We are growing also in terms of building this production company and building content that you all want to see, and hope that you stick with us and grow with us and see what we have to share with y'all, because yeah, we're getting back onto that train of creating things that spark conversations and educate and get everyone comfortable with being uncomfortable and just all of that. So some stuff is coming down.
Some stuff is coming.
A lot of stuff is coming down, but it's okay because we're figuring it out and growing. And so with that, that was
I'm trying to stifle a burp. That's why I'm like staring at you and just.
I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna move over to our button of the week in terms of how to ask quality questions, and you know, yeah, you. Okay, so yes, our button of the week this week is asking quality questions. Mama, do you want to share like where this stemmed from?
So I was listening to another podcast.
As she does.
As I do. And this was Skim from the Couch. Like I'm way behind there, but they interview women. And one of the interview questions was like,
what do you do your day, on your free time, your days off?
yes. Yeah. And the interviewee was like, wow, like no one has ever asked me that question. I love this question. This is the kind of question that I wish people would ask me. And then they kind of went down a little their own like tangent of like, oh, like, okay, questions, ask whatever. But I was like, you know, like, I think that there's a lot of questions that have been asked that if they were phrased slightly differently, it would have clicked for me, like, or been like, that's what I wanted you to ask me. Sometimes, like, you know how like you don't know what you want someone to ask you, or you might not know until you've like marinated it a little bit, and then like, yeah, like this is the answer that I have, and this is the question that I would like you to ask. Like, you reverse engineer a ton of shit, and so like the reverse engineer of like, what are you trying to say? I mean, in PR, that's a lot of the time, like, you'll share your blanket, whatever, and then like, this is the question to inspire this answer. This is the question to inspire this answer, kind of thing. You can reverse engineer a lot of things. I guess I'm like, actually, it's all clicking for me today.
And that whole piece reminds me of, I think it started in like 2015. There's a group of actresses who kind of bound together and they started hashtag Ask Her More based off of the questions that female based on questions that actresses are asked versus actors. Like I'm sorry, male actors versus female actors are
like,
asked.
What are you wearing versus like how hard was it?
Yeah, like
To be this
I think Scarlett Johansson had an interview once when they were talking. It was an Iron Man interview, and the interviewer had asked Robert Downey Jr. all of these like somewhat profound questions in terms of like his character and his development, and then had the audacity to what she was wearing underneath, like what garments she could wear underneath of her costume. And she's like, "Are you serious right now? Like that's I'm not answering that. Like, can you ask me something of substance, please?" And so and that started to trickle over onto the red carpet in terms of like, no, ask me actual questions. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing. I have more to say than what's based like than clothes and makeup and like my external. I am more than this casing. And
I'm not just here to smile for you.
right, I'm pretty, I smile, I look good, all of that, but there's stuff up here. Can we do that? Can we talk about this film? Can we talk about
It
the
took
messaging?
skill to put into this.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, this wasn't just like me chilling. Like, you know.
And I thoroughly enjoy being asked. Like, I'm very adverse to small talk. I cannot. It makes me cringe. And I know to a certain degree, like up front, it's necessary to break some ice. But I am that, like, let's jump into the deep end. Ask me hard questions. Like, ask me like things that I genuinely care about, that and we can have a deep conversation and get like past the bullshit. Like, those are the questions that I want to be asked
Yeah.
more. And like I don't like I'm thinking of some of questions that I have been asked lately that took me off guard. Someone asked me, what is something that has inspired me lately? And for me, asking people questions that matter, like how to do that, I sit with myself. I'm like, okay, what do I want to know about this person? Like, actually, like, get to know, like, and also with that, what do I want them to know about me? And so, like, I'm like, what do I want to share? What am I comfortable going down a rabbit hole on? And what do I want to know about them that is of substance? And so, when I'm trying to think of quality questions to ask someone, I like start from within, but like put myself in their shoes in terms of like trying to figure them out, and how I can like fit and be of value in their life. And so that's how I attack that. And like recently, we it was so funny because we had started outlining this whole episode, and we were in the process of hiring an editor. Shout out to Mimi, she's amazing. I got to meet her in person the other day at Kyle's birthday.
I'm jealous.
It was oh so dope. She's fucking awesome. Anyway, so yes, we were in the process of hiring Mimi, and we had a Zoom call, and we hit it off right away. But like halfway through, it was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to ask you. I want to know if editing, like, is that your passion? Is that where you want to grow more? Is that what like you really is
Is this what you want?
yeah, is this what you is this where this is your career? This is what you want to do in film and television? And she's like, oh my god, Alyssa, thank you for asking me that. No one ever asked me that. They just assume because I'm editing something for them, that that's what I want to do. I was like, no, sometimes like things are a means to an end. Like what do you want to be focused on? Like, where do you see yourself? So that, I mean, yes, we still need you to edit, but I would like to put you in the position to do what it is that you are passionate about and what you want to do, like, because that just makes the most sense to me. And so, as we nurture this working relationship, when we can, I want to push you in that direction. And she's like, I actually want to manage YouTube channels. And I was like, excuse me, what? I was like, yes. I had literally just asked for that, like out into the ether in terms of like manifestation and all of those things. She's like, yeah, I want to manage YouTube channels. I want to like look at the analytics. I want to be able to help generate new content, figuring out what our audience likes, what they don't like, and like curating the channel to so that it is being of value to our subscribers and giving them what it is that they want and helping you guys do that. And I was like, yo, yes, please, because we figuring all of this out as we go. And it was such a great conversation, and like it was like magic. It in that moment, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I asked you this question. And she's like, I'm so glad you asked. And I'm like, I'm writing this down and I'm sharing it with everyone. It was perfect. It was perfect. And so, what are some questions that you wish people asked you more?
I've been thinking about that. I don't have a list, I guess, that I'm like ready to share. I feel like I've been asked questions that I have just never thought about like the answer to more times, that I'm like,
Okay.
those questions just kind of like are still hovering somewhere, like, do we have an answer to that? Did someone make notes of this? You know, like, but I cannot think of a question that I was asked that was really like, oh, like I do wish that people ask me this specific question more. None that I can like think of as I've been like, since we've talked about this, have ever really come to mind for things. But like, I think a lot of the questions that like we're generally talking about are like getting to know you, or like what you want to do. And I feel like every like 5 to 6 years of my life, all of that has changed so significantly that it's like I still don't know sometimes. I'm like, well, this the last time I had this question, you know, it was this, and like I thought I wanted to do that then, but like, you know, I'm a different person than I was then. So like I think that's more of like just me like really still like getting comfortable and like understanding who I am as a person.
Okay.
But I have you had good questions that like stood out that you're like, oh, I loved that someone asked me that, or you're also like, they're simmering somewhere.
It's so interesting because the questions that I have been asked lately that I realize that I want people to ask me more are really basic. Like, and I was taking inventory of that. I'm like, wow. But like for example, I shared with you all like a few weeks back that my brother-in-law, he reached out to me and was like, hey, Alyssa, how are you? And that's a really basic question, right? But he's like, no, how are you really? Be honest with me and have a conversation and tell me how you are. And I was like, um, and and so I'm realizing the questions that stood out to me are basic. It's that my answer has changed, like how I answer that and how I'm okay with being vulnerable and being honest about how I am in that case. Like I'm like, damn, I I wish people asked me that, but in a way that I know that they really care.
They're like ready to receive. Yeah.
Yes, they're ready to receive my honest answer versus it being small talk, like, hey, how are you?
Great, how are you? Like,
yes.
A like in passing person. Yeah, I don't enjoy that question because because I do have to like go through that like, okay, are we having a real conversation here, or like is this like a simple greeting?
Mm-hmm.
Because like some days I'm like, yeah, I like really do want to like get this out, but I'm also like, anyone who's asked me this today, I do not feel like sharing this with you. And then I'm like, cats. You know,
it's like I don't know if you can handle my honest answer.
And that I think maybe is also part of what goes into the question asking is like, yeah, can you handle the answer? But like
Yeah.
sometimes,
can you handle the truth?
Yes. I think that's like in like relationships, sometimes like you get the like, what's wrong? Are you mad at me? Like, nothing, I'm fine. And it gets like, okay, well obviously something's wrong, but like sure. And then other times it's like, like nothing's really wrong, but like nothing's but like fine, like I don't want to get into it now.
Yep.
Like I mean conversations that like you might have with your parents and they're like, how are you? And you're like, I am fucking not. But I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah,
Everything's great. Like
I was on the phone with my stepmom last night. My older sister Brittany, her where does he fall on the line? Anyway, her 3-year-old had a birthday party, and my family was in town,
Aw.
super precious, and so they're passing the phone around, and she had, we were talking about my CoStar credit and me coming out to visit, and she asked me, and I was so proud of her, because it was more of a, I mean, yeah, she asked me, it was a request. Anyway, she said, when you come to visit, can you please come to us? Like, can you come spend 3 or 4 days with us? Like, land in Baltimore, spend a few days, and then we'll take you to Virginia. Like, she asked. And usually they will come down to Virginia when I'm in Virginia.
right.
Like I'll let them know and they figure it out. But this time she's like, it would really mean a lot to your dad if you came.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, if you came and spend
Yeah.
a few days. And she's like, please let me know. I will make sure he has the time off. And she was like, that would mean a lot to him. And it hit me in a way, and it's hitting me again right now. And I was just like, yeah, I can do that. Thank you for asking and letting me know. I was like, and I have to go now because I'm gonna start crying. And she was like, me too. And I was like, she's like,
I love that.
she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm okay. I really appreciate you taking the
literally just taking the time to let me know that
This is
I
what
would be
you need.
welcome and you would like to see. I think I'm gonna kind of take over here, but yeah, I think that's like I said, I'm going through different phases of I'm a different person here than I was there, but it's you when you're younger, I think have this audacity that everyone will make time for you, want to share,
Right.
everything is great, whatever. And as we get older and we learn how the value of time really goes and what that means to spend time with people
Mhm.
that we care about, or how much it really means to be hey, I would like to spend time with you. I would like to spend my time together with you while you're spending your time. We're both wasting time together.
Yes.
When you really drill into that, that's a commitment. That's a commitment, and it's also you at least out of me. It's a nice I want to be with you. I want to do
Yes,
this with you.
You feel valued and seen and wanted, and
It's warm fuzzy, but somewhere also it hurts
It
because
did-
you're
it-
why am I so?
I was like, what is this? She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just didn't realize how much I miss my family. I was like, I can do that. I love you. I have to go now. I can do that. Thank you for asking. And I'm realizing it's those basic questions that hit, and I would like to be asked more of, but also I know it's on me in order to yes, they're the ones asking the question, but I'm also need to be open to be able to give them that answer and give them the opportunity to see if they can handle it or not. And not being afraid of the response that I'm giving, because I want that, but I have to give it.
Yeah.
And so another question that I know I ask a lot of people, and I think there's only a handful of people that ask me this, but I love being asked what do you need? How can I help? How can I be of value to you? They're very basic questions, but they are some of my favorite. And sometimes I don't know. I'm like, thank you so much. Because
at this time I am deer in headlights.
Right? But it makes me take a moment to sit and be like, what do I need? And so when someone asks me that question, even if I don't know the answer, it forces me to think of the answer and be like, you know what? I'll get back to you. because I don't know right now, but thank you so much for asking me that. And that one of the single most questions that makes me the most uncomfortable, but I know that I need.
I'm going to retract my previous answer to your question, and I will say yes. Basic questions, I kind of am like, I do think those are more helpful. And to pivot or to piggyback off of what do you need, yes, I think you are one of the first people who has asked me that to for things that I'm like, I am like going to explode. I just like, I am so wound up on something that I don't know what I need. And I can't stop anywhere in the middle to be like, okay, yeah, like inventory check, like what's going on here?
Yes,
But when you see me in those like spiraled moments and like it's like static or like smoke is like emitting out of my head because we're just stopped in there. You're like, what do you need, mama? And I'm like, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. What do we need? What's happening in here? Like, how can we chill out? And then I'm like, okay, serious crisis averted. Like now we're on a mission or something. Or like when I have come in and you're like, okay, like how are you? And I'm like, okay, actually she was terrible and whatever. And you're like, okay, do you need a hug? And I'm like, yes. That is a simple fucking question. But also sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to cry or think about it. But like, yes, hug me, and I will think about hugging and breathing, and that is fine in this moment, and that's okay. Yeah, I think those types of basic questions.
Right? I am like, who knew? Like and
You hit it here.
I know. I was trying to think of some profound, deep question that I want people to ask me more, and I'm like, no.
Please don't ask me if I want a hug. No one asked me if I want a hug.
You're not me. Anyway, sorry.
It's a very select people.
It's a very select few people that are like, yes, Alyssa, like you can hug me, you can touch me. I had a graze like tangent because it also like hugs, like it calms your nervous system, like compression of skin on skin, and like that pressure of someone hugging you helps with your nervous systems. It helps you calms you down. But I learned that from Grey's Anatomy. So for people that are like, oh, that show's such trash, suck it. Anyway.
You know what? It's educational trash.
Hello?
But it's still not trash.
Yeah, anywho.
Fuck you.
It's like to me, keep it simple, stupid. Like, but also on the receiving end of that, in terms of when people ask you those questions, like being open and vulnerable to answer them. Like,
That's hard.
it is. And I'm like, oh, it goes both ways. Like, so you say you want like deeper connections and, better questions, but are you able to answer them and actually like go there with people? And so like that has been my takeaway in terms of like being able to ask quality questions. A lot of the times they're basic questions. In terms of
As
like
we've learned.
yeah, like one of another one of my favorite questions for people to ask me, like, what are you most passionate or excited about? Like, what like really like lights you up? And so like and for me it's storytelling. It's on so many different avenues, and I could talk about it for like I light up and I turn into this huge nerd, and I love talking about film. I love talking about television, plays, and theater specifically. But like those basic questions, in a real honest way, help you learn a lot about someone. But if you're willing to go there with them, and so that is what I have to say about that.
Do you have questions that people have asked you that you loved, hated, I guess, for what they made you think or feel or answer? Or do you have a question that you wish people would ask you?
Let us know in the comments below. And now we're going to move over to our push replay, which is...
Okay, so push replay is when we circle back on a comment, question from a post or something that we've shared previously, or I guess also reintroducing a button of the week that we have a
Skipped
rebuttal
over.
or something for. So this week the push replay comes. The comment comes from our friend Matthew Perkins.
Hey.
Matthew, from our recent episode, Trauma Porn on TV. And his comment is, we all dealing with childhood trauma, and we have that one person who has saved us, even though they don't know it was them who did so. But saying thanks is still tricky and must be well planned.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I still haven't said anything. It'll happen. I've learned it'll happen when it happens, like, and not to force it. But I'm very grateful for examples that I've had in my life, and leaving it at that until the moment arises to let that person know, or when I'm ready to have that conversation. And so I'm 10-10 agree, Matthew Perkins. Yeah.
The planning. I think the oversharing or the like wrong moment, like that is still like bigger blocks that would be like, oh, maybe not now.
Yeah, maybe not now.
Maybe not.
It's the overshare. I'm not gonna lie. I used to be a huge oversharer. I still sometimes am, probably. I'm like, here. This is me, and this is all of my emotional baggage. I'm learning to be less that and a little less messy in the terms of Anywho, but like as I've gotten older, I have realized I've been in spaces where like the oversharing is real, and I'm like, whoa, we did not need to know that like soon on, or just like I do believe it's a generational thing. Anyway, that's a whole other button, y'all. My bad. We were
Yeah,
about
I was
to...
like, I don't know if it's generational. I think I overshare out of nervousness. I think sometimes, like, I'm not a like I need to fill space kind of person. But I am a like at some point it's too quiet. Like at some point, okay, somebody needs to go.
I see.
Or like when out of like I am not sure what's happening here. Okay, let's go.
You're like, here's this information.
Yeah.
I'm gonna okay, but yeah, no, oversharing. That's a button. Anyway, y'all. Thank you for joining us this Sunday afternoon. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share,
rate, review, follow, download.
All of the things.
Yes.
We are pushing reset, and so excited to share some new things that we have going on with y'all. And we will catch you next week. Bye. Yay. Okay. Yep. There goes that, because I never tucked it in properly. And boom. Wait, I can't push the button.